The movie begins with a woman running desperately 24 hours earlier, and then the scene cuts to a woman named Tess who is looking at her family's photo album. Her sister Beth appears and scolds Tess for going through her things. After they argue, Beth says she will tidy up the things that Tess has messed with. Moments later, as Tess is leaving, she encounters Beth and some friends. Beth then says that Tess is giving self-defense classes in Hollywood, but Tess says that in fact, she teaches elementary school. After Tess lightens the heavy mood with a bit of sarcasm, Beth's friends head to the store before hitting the road. Tess argues with Beth for inviting her friends on the trip and says she doesn't like them, to which Beth responds that Tess doesn't like anyone. Hours later, Beth's friends arrive at the store and find the others who are buying drinks and are very excited for the bachelorette party for Tess and Beth's sister. At that moment, one of the friends named Mia calls Esther to help her grab some snacks, and then a group of guys starts bothering them, making unwanted comments towards both Mia and Esther. The tension rises until Tess appears and bravely confronts the harassers. She tells one of them in a defiant tone that he should only wear the cap if he actually served in the army. One of the other guys, trying to intervene, claims he was the one who gave the cap. Tess dismisses him and responds that he's just a regular soldier, while she served on the front lines in an operation in Iraq and saved many lives. Beth appears, frightened, and together with Tess, decides to leave the place. As they leave the store, Tess scratches the guy's truck in an act of defiance before they head off on their trip. As soon as they arrive at the location, Tess notices two guys and becomes suspicious because she thought it was an elderly couple who took care of the house. Beth waves to the guys and says she will greet them, but Tess says she prefers to go. Hours later, while Tess remains vigilant, the others are having fun, and Mia calls her to join in, but Tess prefers to stay quiet. At this moment, Rose, who is the sister of Beth and Tess, appears with Noelle, and they hug and talk for a bit. Then she heads to a small house nearby. Upon entering the place, Tess notices that the environment is completely empty. With cautious steps, she carefully observes every detail around her. Suddenly, the phone rings and startles her, but she decides to let it ring, choosing to continue her investigation. As she is about to leave, two men unexpectedly appear, and she overhears their strange and suspicious conversation. Tess quickly hides behind the bed. When one of the guys leaves, the other goes to the bathroom, and upon exiting, he seems to suspect someone is there. However, Tess has already hidden in the wardrobe. Later, the girls are in the living room, enjoying moments of relaxation and fun. Tess enters through the kitchen door, and upon seeing a man there, she immediately asks who he is. The man introduces himself as the cook hired for the party. Beth enters the kitchen and asks Tess where she has been. The cook says she was interrogating him, but Tess denies this, saying she just wanted to know who he was. Then Beth tells the cook to leave so they can talk. Beth then argues with Tess, asking why she did that, insisting that everything is fine. Tess disagrees, saying that she heard a strange conversation from those guys and believes they are suspicious. Beth responds that they were hired last year to take care of the property and assures Tess that they are not murderers. She ends the discussion by saying that Tess is trying to ruin their sister's party by scaring people and that she should relax and have a drink. After that, Tess watches the controversial question game and Rose calls her sister, but she prefers to stay out of it. Moments later, the cook appears in the living room to serve some strange appetizers for the girls to eat and, besides cooking, he also shows off his dancing skills to entertain them. While Tess is outside alone, Rose comes out to join her and asks what's going on. Tess says she prefers to be alone so she doesn't ruin the night. Suddenly, Beth appears and tells Rose to go inside because she doesn't have to stay there consoling Tess. Rose says they are just talking. Beth gets furious with Tess and starts ranting, thinking Tess wants to be the center of attention. At that moment, Rose is hit by an arrow, and Beth screams in desperation. They quickly bring Rose inside, and the girls panic, asking what is happening. Tess tells Beth to call for emergency services, but Esther says she needs to call near the window to get a signal, so she goes upstairs. Tess tells everyone to be quiet, and looking out the window, she sees some trucks approaching the house. She then instructs them to lock all the doors with something and says all the lights must be turned off. After they turn off all the lights, Tess tells them to call for help, but they can't because they have no signal. In the face of this desperation, Tess says that everyone now needs to prepare and try to find as many objects as possible to defend themselves. Tess goes to the window and observes that the guys are slashing the tires of their cars to prevent them from escaping. She says she will stop them and asks one of the girls to help open the back door. Tess then checks to see how the situation is progressing and quickly attacks one of the guys. She returns and explains what she did, starting to think of another survival plan. She encourages everyone, telling them they will make it through. When she goes upstairs to check if the other girl managed to make the call, Tess realizes that she too has been hit by an arrow. Tess then goes back downstairs to tell the others what happened to their friend. One of the girls starts to panic, saying they won't survive, and begins to blame Tess for it. But Mia tells the girl that she's being unfair to Tess. At that moment, one of the guys gets out of the car and tries to intimidate them. Tess says they've managed to call the police, but the guy says she's lying because there's no phone signal in that area. He also says he came to retrieve something valuable, which makes the girls curious. They ask Beth what's in the house, but Beth says there's nothing of value inside. Tess confirms that there's indeed nothing valuable and that this is a trap the guy is trying to set. She recognizes the voice and realizes that the man outside is the same one who was at the store earlier. Shortly after, one of the men reveals that one of his companions has been attacked, which angers him because he knows Tess is responsible. Meanwhile, inside the house, Tess is worried. She warns that if the men manage to get inside, they won't have a chance to survive and will need to make quick decisions. Tess proposes a plan. While she runs to the tool shed to find weapons, one of the others must distract the intruders and run to the caretaker's house to call for emergency help, since there's phone signal there. Mia volunteers for this mission because, during her school years, she was an athlete and had great running skills, and if she doesn't return, she hands over her car keys, puts on her sneakers, and leaves through the kitchen door. She then draws the attention of one of the guys, who starts to chase her, and Tess takes advantage of the distraction to go to the tool shed. Mia manages to reach the caretaker's house, and as she's making the call, one of the guys shows up. Mia acts quickly, hitting him with an object. Meanwhile, inside the house, the girls are waiting for the others. Then someone knocks on the door, and one of them goes to open it, thinking it's Tess, but ends up being hit by an arrow. The guys then invade the house, and the girls run to hide, but they are all eventually found. Meanwhile, Tess reaches the tool shed and finds the two men who take care of the house tied up. Tess asks one of them why the guys are trying to get into the house, and he reveals that he told them there was a lot of hidden money in her father's house, and that all the money was from something illegal the two of them were involved in. Tess decides to free the man, but tells him he has to help her. When she asks about her father's weapons, the man tries to escape but is attacked by another guy. The attacker tells Tess she should have run when she had the chance, and Tess quickly confronts and finishes him off. Meanwhile, inside the house, besides continuing to ask about the money, one of the guys demands to know where Tess is, threatening that they will suffer consequences if they don't tell him. One of the girls says that Tess is outside trying to get help and also claims she doesn't know of any valuable items there. After she says this, the guy attacks her and goes upstairs to check how much money is up there. Minutes later, Tess appears, entering through the basement of the house. The guys are discussing which girl they will get involved with, and Noelle says that if they want to have relations with her, they'll have to release them afterward. The guy agrees. At that moment, Tess appears behind the guy with a hoe, and Noelle crouches down to grab a sharp object. Suddenly, both women attack the guys at the same time, and Beth moves in to help. Tess asks how many enemies are left. The two women inform her that there is only one, and he is upstairs. Tess goes up and finds the man taking all the money. He then orders her to leave and claims he won't pursue her. But Tess is not intimidated and says she won't back down and intends to take him out. Without hesitation, she confronts him, and they start to fight. Tess manages to subdue and eliminate him. The next morning, Tess goes to the police station to give her statement. The sheriff receives her and wants her to recount all the details of what happened. As Tess narrates the events, the sheriff shows skepticism and seems not to fully believe her version of the story. Tess insists that she and her friends are victims of the situation and are not to blame. Despite Tess's efforts to clarify the situation, the sheriff maintains an ironic and skeptical tone, but Tess remains firm, reaffirming her account. At the end of the statement, the sheriff warns Tess that he doesn't want to see any of them back at that place. With a mix of relief and frustration, Tess hugs Beth as she leaves the station. However, before leaving, she scratches the sheriff's car and joins Mia to head out. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you don't miss the next content. Thank you for watching.